So, Teal Cheese here with Brendan Bennett.
What's up, guys?
Finally.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great.
Fantastic. You got back from Boston, what, a couple days ago?
2 days ago, yeah.
And how did that trip go?
It's awesome. I haven't been home like a month. I slept so well the past 2 nights, dude. In my own bed, holy shit. Best feeling in the world. Best feeling in the world.
That's dope. Now you were there just visiting family. There was no business.
Yeah. In Boston, it was just to like see friends. I went to school up there for a little bit, so I got to see my friends at school. Got to see my family up there.
Right.
It was awesome. Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. Now I watched an interview where you had mentioned that one of your first introductions into hip hop was from your cousin, and it was Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first things. Now, how much influence do you think he had? I mean, I know you're not really rapping now, but do you think that had an influence when you first started?
Oh,
writing?
absolutely. When I first started writing, I just wanted to be Lil Wayne, and and so has like 90% of rappers that have come out in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Like he's the most influential, like easily. He's just incredible.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Now you grew up, like I said, in Boston, and then moved to Naples. When you were pretty young?
Oh yeah, like 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now when you were growing up, pretty normal lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, my mom is a fucking hero.
Yeah.
She, because we had a crazy situation with my dad, and so basically she just, we originally moved down to the east coast of Florida.
Okay.
And so one night, my dad, fell asleep drunk, so she put me and my brother in the car and just drove.
Time to go.
She didn't even know Florida, she'd never really been. She ended up in Naples after getting across, Alligator Alley, and we stayed at a hotel for a little bit while we figured it out. And she just worked her ass off.
Right.
But she always made sure, that was the thing, because she worked so hard, she always made sure we had what we wanted. We always got our PlayStations on our birthday. You know what I mean? It's not like we were
she definitely, you saw her as a role model of damn, she's really working her ass off.
Yeah.
So you noticed
I didn't even realize it. I didn't realize how poor we were until I started understanding
what money was.
What money was when we got older. Because she just went out of her way to make sure, if we want to go out to eat, she would just put on a credit card. We wanted to place it, she just always did her best.
Made sure you didn't have to worry about it.
Absolutely.
That's dope. That's dope. So obviously that probably went to, I would say, definitely comfortable, at least for you, where you, like you said, didn't really realize how it was until after the fact. Probably a little easier that way. Now you mentioned that you didn't even start writing until, or at least recording until what, 17, right?
Yeah, 17.
So you're only 21 now. It's only been a few years you've been recording.
Yeah.
When you first started, we talked a little bit earlier about that you kind of went into it as a rapper and thinking that was the move and that was going to be your career as a rapper.
Yeah.
And when did that kind of shift for you and you realized that maybe that wasn't the move and maybe more of a singing pop song structure is more where you need to be?
I didn't know that it was going to turn into the singing pop structure because I also had a terrible voice. But the moment I realized rap wasn't going to work was the first time I went to a radio studio. And I spit a verse and I was like, wow, this shit sucks. You know what I mean? I don't have the voice or the charisma or the whatever for that particular style of music. No, it didn't sound good. And I was like, okay, back to the drawing board. And it was kind of right around the time that Chance kind of first came up and I was listening to a lot of so I just started expanding, trying to find different artists to see, where would I fit in. That Chance style when I first started was super impressionable on me. His ability to sing but still rap and still talk about stuff with substance. It was an interesting dynamic that he had going on, especially on acid rap surf time period. So that was the first thing that made me realize, okay, maybe I could do this more
a little offshoot of rap. Almost.
Yeah.
Where it's definitely not removed completely from hip hop, but it's a hip hop influence rather than trying to be an MC. Because I noticed that about your music was that you're not going into it with the intention of I'm the best rapper, I'm the best lyrical. That's not the point.
Because I know, because if you think about it, that's the thing about rap that's hard, right? Is because as a rapper, besides your voice and your flow, and your charisma, those are a few things that obviously come to the top, but really you're being judged on your bars. And so the thing is, unless you are a GOAT, we're from, Southwest Florida. Yeah. I personally know, 7 artists that have better bars than I do. So how am I going to blow up and be make all these songs I'm the best rapper, when I'm not even the best, I'm not even top 5 locally.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think people get too in their heads about that, and but I think right now it's really cool because, the musicality of hip hop is really at the forefront right now.
Yeah, you're able to branch out.
And there's so much, artists like Smino and things that he's doing, Saba, Isaiah Rashad, just really creating this awesome, where it's rap culture, it's rap it's birthed out of rap, but it's
It's
the
alternative.
musicality of it is something that hasn't really been seen before. You don't have to be the best lyricist. Isaiah Rashad isn't the best lyricist,
Right.
but he makes beautiful fucking music.
Yeah, it's definitely art.
Yeah,
Definitely
absolutely.
art. You know what I mean?
I mean, rap is art too, but you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. But something like that is like you said, where it's definitely an
it's
alternative.
just something different. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different. It's different.
Where
Where
it's-
it's not about having the best bars.
Exactly. It has nothing to do with it.
No.
It's more the feeling of it. Now I was gonna ask you too. Did you ever get into playing any instruments or anything when you were younger?
No.
Like no.
I had
nothing?
terrible hand-eye coordination.
Okay.
Like
So that wasn't
terrible.
even in
So like I was like in like band and shit. And so like I wanted to learn really bad. I
Yeah.
tried. My homie tried to teach me guitar, and like I could read music. I could understand it all.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the second it came to like I actually have to do it, like my brain and my hands was not the same thing. I can never.
Fair
do it.
enough.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that at first you had a terrible voice. How did you do voice lessons? How did you come to like find your voice?
No, so I still have a bad voice, to be honest, to an extent. But I think what it was really was understanding what my voice was good at and wasn't.
Okay, how you
Because
could
like when you don't
effectively
know what
use-
your voice is, and you're just
Right.
going off of, you're just writing shit that sounds good to you. You have to understand your voice has natural registers, natural notes that it likes to hit, doesn't like to hit, and things that you can do better than others. So that was like a huge part of it for me. Was just finding like
Okay.
what was my sweet spot vocally, what things could I do and not do,
Right.
and then learning how to use autotune.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and how
Yeah.
to use it
Well,
moderately.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not just,
As a singer. I mean, that's the thing. Everyone uses autotune, dude. It's awesome.
yeah.
People
and
sleep on that. People really sleep on how
They think
important
it's-
good autotune is.
how did it become a bad thing? I don't understand how
I think it was for like a year, like 2010,
Yeah.
when Jay-Z was like, deck the autotune and like all that shit. But I don't think anyone really nowadays is like, oh, this autotune garbage. I mean, if you're rapping, you don't need autotune because you're not hitting notes,
I was just
and
gonna
that's
say,
fine.
right.
But anything melodic, I mean, people use. There are very few melodic artists that don't.
Very
use
few,
autotune.
right?
Very few.
Now we had talked a little before too about. I think it was you said the first producer that really got you excited about music was someone named Cappy.
Yeah, I owe like everything to Cappy.
Now, how
Cappy
did
is
you
the
come to
fucking
meet
goat.
him, and how did that relationship?
It was completely and utterly random. I was working at Starbucks at the time, and I hadn't been recording at all. I'd just been writing.
Uh-huh.
This kid got hired. His name was Ricky, and he, I was trying to get to know him a little bit. One day we were on the shift together, and I was trying to ask him about music because I love music. I always want to talk about music. And he tells me some of the artists he likes. And he's like, I also like rap. Well, I was like, shut up. Like, so after work, we just sat and like, we rapped to each other. And like at the
Okay.
time, like I said, I had bars and bars only.
Right.
But he was like, dude, like, kind of fire. And I was like, whatever. And so he introduced me to a bunch of people, and I didn't even know there was like a local music scene. I didn't know anything was going on.
Right.
And they brought me to Cappy because that's where they all recorded. And Cappy just, completely changed how I thought about music, how I approached what I was doing.
Yeah.
And he's like become one of my great friends.
That was
He's
like your mentor.
amazing. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
He's
Fair
the
enough.
goat.
Now, you seem to me to be very purposeful, and like I said to you before, very methodical with what you do. What do you think made you that way, or what makes you operate that way? Because not very many 21-year-olds operate that way.
I mean, I don't know. I just feel like from a young age, I just always felt like a weird importance on like time. You know what I mean? Like we only have a limited amount of time here. I want to do everything and anything I can while I'm here. And it was just always a pressure on me, and I was super into. I mean, I just used to read like books. Like I used to read a book a day. You know what I mean? Like just really. And I don't know. I just decided like, this shit is so important, and we only have so few opportunities at doing this shit. So if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right. And that's kind of transferred over into every aspect of my life.
So
like I don't half-ass things. I don't. If I don't want to do it, I don't do it.
Right.
I don't believe in that, because if I'm going to do something, I want to do it with intention. I want to do it right. I want to do it well. And then,
So that was just instilled in you. It's just in you.
yeah. I mean, I was trying to think of even like but that's just kind of how I've always thought about things.
Like I said, I don't think there's very many 21-year-olds that operate that way. But we talked a little bit before about what gave you that confidence to. You said you worked at Starbucks. You work in a day job. You start recording music. What gave you the confidence to say, okay, now I can quit the day job and I can go make music, and this can be my career now?
I mean, overnight it just got really real. I think that I had been working a lot, with this artist Dominic Fike, Nate Traveler, and we all were kind of just doing our thing. It was Naples music,
Right.
whatever. And I mean, there was two of the most incredible talents I'd ever seen. I was fans of their music,
Right.
but like we were just making music.
Your
in Naples.
friends too.
Yeah, exactly.
You're hanging out.
And so, and all of a sudden, when the Dominic Fike thing happened, and he just took off, and he was still in jail. He had no music out, and Billie Eilish and Russ and all these people were, like tweeting about it. Like, it was just fucking nuts. It just became like, oh shit, like this is real. And if I want this to be my life, like I just have to dedicate myself to it.
Fair enough.
And I had the opportunity to move home, move in with my parents. So I didn't really have to worry, too much. And I was making a decent amount of money off of, what I was able to build for myself and the work I've done for other artists. And so it just kind of became a situation like, fuck it, like I have to give it my all. I don't want to wake up and think about Starbucks and think about, this and that and the other thing, and then at the end of the day be like, oh, well, now what do I have to write? What do I have to
now what else do I have to
wake
do?
up with that intention?
What were you monetizing at that point other than your music? Was it just strictly music income?
Music, shows. I had done already some shows. I'd written some songs for a few people that I got.
Just a few extracurricular things.
Some little things like that. And I'd just been saving up a lot of money too. I never felt the need to go out and splurge.
Right.
Even my Starbucks money. Like that was just, only thing I spent money on was music.
Spending money to actually physically record or buy equipment or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely.
So you just invested in yourself. There you go. So that's how you do it. Now, the other thing I noticed in one of the interviews was that you mentioned your struggle with addiction, specifically to Xans, and I know that a lot of people struggle with that, and I myself was included in that. A lot of people, especially in Florida, I feel like for some reason it's rampant here.
Yeah.
Pills in general.
Yeah, no.
But that's
nothing to do
specifically
here. That's why.
right. There's nothing to do, and you get bored. But what was the thing that first of all made you get clean? What made you decide? Okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
It was actually a funny but not funny story. I was on family vacation in Maine. We all once a year, my whole family tries to get together, and so we were there, and I had only bought enough to last me through that trip.
Yeah.
And while I'm there, my lawyer at the time calls me up and says, Atlantic wants to meet. Can we fly you from Portland, Maine to New York after your vacation?
Right.
And I was like, fuck yeah. But then I realized I didn't have any more Xans.
I'm gonna be sick.
And it was this whole crazy 48 hours of ridiculous. And then my flight got canceled from LaGuardia to go back home. So I had to sleep on the airport floor, tweaking out. It was just this whole crazy thing, and I was just like, if this is what I want to do with my life, if I want to be traveling, if I want to be doing shit, I want to be on my game 100% of the time, I have to stop. I don't want to be dependent on anything but me.
Right.
I want to be able to sleep on the floor of LaGuardia. I want to be able to, and not have to worry about when's my next thing.
How am I going
to get this? And because and that was really the thing that just made me wake up and be like, fuck that. I gotta get this. I gotta get this right.
And then you mentioned that the process of doing that, you went to a doctor.
Yeah, I went to a doctor. I had the whole, because I wasn't brave enough or cocky enough to be like, I'm gonna just stop taking it.
Well, that was the smart move. Yeah, because.
And so I had an amazing doctor that just allowed me to take my time with it. Really worked on the schedule to go down, and it
weaned you off of it rather than cold turkey, and people don't realize how dangerous that is.
Oh no, you cannot, especially with Xans.
Yeah, it's not an option. You will be in the hospital. So no, that's good that at least you had that moment of clarity, and then I'm sure when you came back, though, you know what I mean. You go through that process and kind of heal from that.
Yeah.
Obviously, that had an influence your music, I'm sure.
For sure. Yeah.
And you mentioned something about being on house arrest. And I don't know how much of that you really want to talk about.
No, I've never on house arrest.
Oh, I don't know why I thought.
Dom was. For
we might have been talking about him.
Yeah,
okay. So he was on.
Yeah, we made we were recording with him while he was on house arrest.
Oh, okay. So that was the only time you really had to send things back and forth or go.
No, I would just show up to his house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Even better. You can just record there. There you go. So now that you're clean, ways to cope with stress. What do you find is what works for you? What doesn't work for you? Because obviously that's a trial and error process.
Yeah. I think I have a great support system. I think that's huge. I just have a lot of people that I can really count on, call up, talk to about everything, which is awesome. That's a huge thing. I think that not putting too much pressure on myself. And again, I'm grateful with my circumstances that I don't have work and I don't have 2 jobs and music and this and that. I don't have a kid. I don't have all these things I have to worry about, like paying for it and whatever. So I do have I try to give myself like a couple hours a day to myself, just to decompress and introspect and, kind of figure out, okay, where am I at? So I'm not like so lost in what am I doing that I forget like how am I feeling, how am I.
So it's literally just taking the time to slow down.
To slow down, yeah. And I think, and then, I mean, video games for me, like I love playing video games if I have the time to. Just keeps my mind off things. You know what I mean? It's a harmless way to.
Exactly. Anything to not focus on what's in your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I was gonna ask you about a day in the life of you, but you had mentioned before that that's pretty ordinary.
It's funny because like I'm not the type of artist that really likes to be in the studio 24/7. Like because we kind of talked about my intention. Like I like to go to the studio with intention. So if I don't have a project, like right now I just finished my project, so I'm not really planning on being in the studio unless there's a feature. I'm helping a homie out. I'm not really planning on being in the studio within the next month or 2, 3, whatever, until I have to make another project. And so, and then when I'm not traveling or doing shows or whatever, the past month has been pretty hectic. Yeah. When I'm home, I wake up, take my dog park, get some food, play some Fortnite. I mean, NBA finals are on.
Right.
Playoffs, be watching that shit. Catching up on my TV. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like normal fucking shit. Yeah. And that's what makes it funnier. Like when I do travel, I go to Chicago and I do shows and I do whatever. It's just like, it's like so not what my normal life is like.
Very
and like when I meet people who are like, Brendan, I'm like, what, me? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a funny thing. It's funny. My life is so long.
A lot of that is social media though too, don't you think?
For sure, because I'm not posting myself on social media
versus reality
playing Fortnite. And
right, exactly. All they're seeing is you on the road at the shows, and so they think that's your whole life.
Right, absolutely.
So you don't realize, 90% of the time I'm pretty regular.
And that's the thing, like when I am, and that's the thing, I just give my 100% thing. So when I'm making an album, I'm in the studio every day, every hour, doing everything I can. Right. When I'm traveling, when I'm doing shows, when I'm meeting people, like I'm there 100% every day. But when I'm home, I'm trying to relax. Like I dedicate myself to relaxing. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I really do. And so it is funny because people definitely don't understand that side of things.
I don't think enough people do that in their own life either. It's a hard thing to do, to slow down and not worry about anything.
Yeah.
Now, along the same vein of that, your honesty and your openness in your music and the couple little interviews I've seen you do, you're like an open book, man. You really don't hold back at all. And I think that's pretty rare to find in an artist. Is it just that's your personality of you don't really find the need to, hide keep the personal and professional separate, you know what I mean?
Within the past 2 years, like I really, because my thing, I mean, not just as a human being, but especially as an artist, like, if you pretend to be perfect, you're not helping anyone, right? Because then you feel like a fraud. You're sitting there like worrying about all this shit, but you have to act like you're this perfect public persona. Yeah. And then your fans and people who might be going through some real shit that are watching you, even if your friends, people who are going through real shit watching you are like, damn, I wish I was as perfect. I wish I had my life figured out. Whereas your honesty can kind of make people feel less alone, make people feel like, okay, like I look up to this person and they don't have anything figured out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it kind of gives you like, we're all human and we're all like going through shit. So I feel like it's important for me to be honest, not just for my friends and family and for me, but also if I am to take being an artist seriously, like I just feel like it's important to make sure kids know, like,
it's okay to not.
It's okay to not be okay. Like, we're fucking out here. It's cool.
Life is hard. Exactly. Now, is there anything outside of the realm of, we talked a little about hip hop that you listen to, but just nothing to do with that realm of music? Any other genres that you get into? Any other things that you get into? Are there any bands that you listen to constantly? No,
I mean all my music is like at least rap derived. Okay. So like people like Bon Iver and SZA, Frank, recently like Aries. It's all primarily
hip hop, rap adjacent.
Yeah, even if it's R&B, even if it's alternative, even if it's folky.
But Bon Iver is a good example of something where it's definitely not rap or hip hop, but it's
but you know that's
adjacent.
Yeah, exactly, for
sure. Now your role as an artist obviously is very different from that of a producer, and you do both. So do you find that you're more comfortable in one setting than the other? I know that you produce for a few different artists.
Well, so that's the funny thing. So I don't produce; I executively produce.
Oh, okay.
And it's funny because I had people like DMing me all the time, like, "Yo, send me beats," and I'm like,
big difference.
I don't have beats because Because what people executive producing, similar to A&Ring at this level. I mean, it depends on what you're doing. Because you can be as involved or not involved as you want.
Right.
But what I try to do is, help my homies build a project from the ground up. Structure their songs. Writing if need be. I don't really do too much of that for people I executive produce for. But really just helping people build solid songs and then turn those solid songs into solid projects. Being able to arrange, and even the beats, finding which beats they want to use,
right,
and finding how to, song arrangement is like a huge thing for me. Like, I love arranging music, and that's something that I do a lot. And I honestly probably feel more comfortable being the executive producer in the room than the artist, because like, there's no pressure. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is gonna get released, and my name's not gonna be on it.
You're
like,
not
I don't give a fuck.
to your own voice.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck if people like this or not. I mean, I want to like it, and I obviously want people to like it. But like at the end of the day, my name's not on it.
Right, it's not your brand. Yeah, I know.
Right, and so there's just less pressure, and it allows you to be more creative, do things I might be afraid to normally do.
Or wouldn't fit at all.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the big thing. Like, that's why I love working with Nate Traveler in particular, because like, I can't make his kind of music.
Right, you're right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's so talented, I can't do it. But I get to like be there and contribute and do things that I wouldn't normally be able to do. Yeah, because it's not my voice. It's not my story. It's not my
well-rounded experience.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. That's dope. Now, Gold Coast Collective. You said, I could be wrong about this, that you were there's be a few new artists on the roster?
There. So right now it is me, Eddie Rock, who's also from this area, and then a producer named Hunter Harper out in LA. Mm-hmm. We are in the midst of adding another act.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So to be continued on that.
I'm not like super aware of how far along it is, so I'm not trying to like. It's like happening, but I don't know if I'm trying to like blow the whistle on it.
I got you.
But he's dope. Yeah. He's dope.
Now, the tour that we did, the most recent one, how did it go? Was there a city that like stood out to you as like, oh wow, that was insane?
It ended up not happening the way we thought it was going to happen because
that's how tours go. Yeah.
Drama, but I mean, Chicago's always my favorite city, man.
Yeah.
Chicago. I don't know why Chicago. Like, I don't know what about Chicago I have people in.
Yeah.
But every time I do a show up there, they just know all the words. I mean, we have so much fun. Like, it's just a great fucking time. It's the best feeling in the world. I love performing.
I watched you tell a story about you sold out a show there, and you had never been there before, and you were just so almost confused.
I was super confused because I thought like, okay, there must be some other reason people are showing up, like just for the bars, just for like I thought we finessed it kind of, and then the show starts and they know all the words, and that's when it was just like, okay, we really just sold out a show. Like, I'm just.
How did that feel to be on stage and see that, and see them mouthing the word back to you like that? Had to be so.
Oh, it's the best feeling in the world. It's the best feeling in the world. Because when you make music, you're sitting in the studio, you're writing at home, you're whatever your process is. It's very removed.
Yeah.
And then when you release it, you're not there sitting with people as they're listening to it. Sure. The numbers that pop up are just numbers on the screen.
You can't see the reaction.
Yeah, you don't know, really. So being able to like experience your music with other people and kind of see how it's affecting them, I mean, it's the best. It's the best part. Yeah.
That's dope. Now, since Pop Tracks and Love Songs, what has changed? And not so much personally, but just in your mindset. Where was where is it from here? You know what I mean? Because that release was very strong. It was all cohesive, and I know that you're very set on having a method to things. So I see you dropping singles. Yeah. So. So I have another project coming out May 22nd, so it's like 2.5 weeks from now. Yeah. I tried to be less like, Pop Tracks and Love Songs was at a really interesting time in my life, and so I felt like it was important that I really just sat and like made this like cohesive thing and put a lot into it and wrestled with some things. In this album, there are songs like that, but for the most part, I really was just trying to get back to like having fun with music. Okay. And like doing, because my old shit has now been taken down. People still hit me up about it, like, are we getting it back? Are we getting it back? And that music was just fun. It was just fun music. There was no real, Yeah. And that seems to be, I just feel like there's this place for that, especially in our world right now, where it's just bombarded with negative information and whatever. Like, sad songs and sad music have their part making you feel not alone, but we also sometimes need some shit to just like take your mind
inspire us and bring us up. Yeah. And so that's why I tried to be a little less like so worried about my artistry, whatever, and just make some good music that I liked, I had fun making. Yeah. you know, and I feel like that was kind of my next step, you know, artistically, was just to kind of come back into that space.
Right. Well, and okay, so a good lead into my next kind of question or point of that song, "Rich Friends." That's a fun song. That's a very. It's funny. You know, it tells a pretty hilarious story. I don't know what was the inspiration behind that.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of a couple layers to it. For a song that's very stupid, there is actually kind of a couple layers to it. But like, you know, one end of it was, you know, me growing up in Naples, Florida, and then going to school at Tufts University. I was surrounded by wealth, you know, and made really good friends with people who just happened to have wealth.
Right,
It's not
and you didn't grow up with it, so it's almost like
No.
culture shock.
Yeah, right. And for them, it's just kind of normal, and you know, they don't go out of their way to flaunt, and never that.
Right.
But just, you know, but getting to do dope experiences, like dope things, stay in crazy houses, and you know, go out to these crazy restaurants, and just like really kind of like live this life and be like, wow, this would be so nice if this were my day-to-day
Right.
life. But like, none of this money is mine. None of this shit is mine. Still living in my parents' house. Still, you know, whatever. But and then the other kind of side to it is like other musicians that I see, you know, trying to make a music video and flex and show off all these cars and whatnot. And it's like, dude, like, I know you. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
You
like,
know it's rented. You know
it's not yours. And so what are you proud of? Like, what are you trying to flex at that point?
Right.
You know, I would much rather be open and honest about the fact that I live in my parents' house and I'm still able to do the dope shit that I'm doing.
Absolutely.
I feel like there's more of a flex in that than like trying to pretend like you have all this money and all these cars and your music isn't doing shit.
Right.
I feel like
now, if you own that car, put it in the video.
For sure.
Yeah.
But like, it's also like funny because at the same time, you could own a car for something that's not music. Like, you made that money when it's not music.
Right.
You put it in a music video to try to flex as if your music is paying for a car, and then your shit gets like 2,000 views on YouTube.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. I still feel like there's a weirdness in that. That's like,
it's a very interesting.
Why
point.
are you bragging? Because if your music is about bragging about how dope you are, it doesn't really make sense to put in a car you didn't get to buy because of music. Like, I don't know.
Well, and as you said, the numbers don't lie. And that's where it comes in. You see someone like you, for instance. I just saw your Spotify shoot up. You know, that's pretty cool. Where it's like
bizarre.
That doesn't lie, and you can see what cities, you can see where these people are that are seeing, you know, listening to you, and it's all very real at that point. And so it's like, you know, whatever kind of fake lifestyle someone else is living, it's like it makes you more grateful you don't have to do that.
No,
You know?
to be able to be happy and content with myself, most importantly.
To have that self-confidence.
Yeah, like I don't. All right, fuck off. Like, have fun with your like fake Bugatti and your like 3,000 monthly listeners. Like, have fun. I'm just not here for that. Like, I'm not here for the image. I'm here because I actually want to do this shit.
That's dope. And then speaking of that, the very next song that I heard that you sent me was "The Wasted Time," and with the very great Superboy. Yeah. How did you even link with him in the first place?
I mean, Chicago, dude. He's a Chicago artist.
Right.
It's just bizarre. Like, Chicago's become this like mecca for my music, and this like weird place where we just know so many people. And I got you know, we worked on a little distribution deal, one project distribution deal the past year. And so we had, through that, you know, they're based in Chicago, so we had all these connections, all these things, and, you know, we had Wasted Time, and we were kind of figuring out, like, okay, who do we want to hit up? Because we had a budget, and we had, you know, things going on, and the Super thing just happened so naturally, you know, and it made so much sense. It was the perfect, feature for it.
It fits so well.
Yeah, and the contrast of our voices, like, everything just felt great.
Yeah, it was really dope. And then how long was that process of making that song? Was it pretty quick?
So I first got the beat from Wonder Why. He's a producer here that I've worked with a lot. He's fucking fantastic. Back in like October, and like that day, I just wrote some shit. Yeah. And so I recorded it, and that was like my verse and the hook. And at first, I just wanted it to be like an interlude, like a minute 30. Okay. You know, whatever. And everyone was like, "Dude, this song is too hard to just do that with." So I was kind of going back and forth, and so I brought it to Cappy, and Cappy was like, like, I feel like what we could do is we could like take these drums, because originally it was more like alternative drums, like more like live sounding drums. All right. He's like, what if we just fucking made this shit sound like Murder Beats produced it? Like, we kept this guitar, we kept the instrumentality, but just made this shit go crazy. And then we added some bells and the hook, and then it kind of became another song. And I was like, okay, now I can see how this could be like a single, more of a like whatever. Right. We add a second verse place for that, and that's where we kind of start shipping it. So, I mean, my part of the song was done like that first day that I got it in October. And that was one of the few times I just sat on a song for a while. It was kind of like, there's something more to do with it. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And then, you know, between Cappy with production and then Super with the,
Right.
it just kind of clicked.
It
And
worked.
then it was like, all right, this shit's hot.
It
Like,
worked.
bet. Yeah.
And then I saw that obviously the new single comes out the end of this month or close to the end of this
Yeah,
month.
the new project.
Couple weeks.
No more singles.
Oh, that's a full
It's
project.
a
Now,
five
I
song. It's a
thought-
5-song EP.
Oh, okay, I didn't
Yeah,
realize
it's
that.
funny
thought it
because
was-
I always try to like it's so hard to get people sometimes to like get all the information you need them
Good
to get a
stuff.
little like whatever, and you also don't want to be that guy that has like a fucking paragraph on his bio like
Right.
this is exactly what's happening
Or
and this is what I want you to do.
8-tile story that no one's gonna watch. Yeah, it's,
Right,
it's
fast.
tough.
And so it's funny, like I did have some people, I did like an Instagram question thing. Literally caption of the post was May 22nd. Like
Yeah.
that was the first thing
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it. And I had people being like, when's it come out? And I was like,
Oh, that's funny.
you know, and then I had people, like same things, like how many songs are it? And it's like, I posted the track list on the same post. You just swipe and the track list is right there.
And
And
you know
it's
what's
not
funny?
people's
I
fault, it's
didn't
hard
even
to,
notice
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
It's, and that's why it's like, it sucks. And I mean, that's the things of artists that you have to get better at marketing, and that's why it's like you
It's
have
tough.
to get people to get all the information you can with this little amount of like space as
Infiltrating
possible.
their
So that's why, like,
space, yeah.
for me, this was the first time I was kind of confident in a project where I was just like, I'm gonna just post cover art on the track list and like
Yes,
say May 22nd and be like,
it's going out.
look, you can either look at it or not, but either way, like these people aren't gonna listen. It's
Oh,
like-
yeah.
So like it was the first time where I feel like that with the release.
That's dope. So we're
Cool.
getting 5 songs. So the whole
5
project
songs.
is called what?
Kids Wear Crowns.
Kids Wear Crowns.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's gonna be dope.
Yeah.
So what can we expect from this? Just it's more fun. It's more dance. More get out of your head music.
I don't know, dude. My thing is, and this is funny. So I was just up in Maine like a couple days ago before I came back.
Yeah.
We did a road trip up there, and I met with this artist Ben's Been Dead
Okay.
in Maine. He's one of my favorite artists right now. He's incredible. And you know, I was playing him the project, and he was like, he like stopped me at one point. He's like, it's crazy because you don't miss a bar. And like the funny song, like, the thing is, the song that he stopped me on was like a dance hall kind of song, like literally like an EDM
Yeah.
or whatever. And so it's funny because like even on music that to me is happy and like big hooks and big dancing, whatever, I still try to say some real shit. And so, you know, I think 2 of the songs on the project are more, you know, lower, a little more depressing subject matter. But even then, I try to make them feel good.
Yeah.
You know, Waste of Time is one
You
of
do
them.
a very good
Waste
job
of
with
Time
that.
does not. It's not a happy song.
No, by any
But that shit rides. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can play that shit at a party. You
Yeah.
play that shit in the whip.
Even a lot of pop songs and that whole album. It's
Oh no,
not
Podcast and Love
necess-
Songs is a
it's
super
not
depressed album.
necessarily. Yeah, it's, not
It's just
really happy
super,
subject
and that's the
matter.
funny thing because it doesn't sound like it if you just kind of
Yeah,
put it on the background.
it feels fun.
When I did the interview with Bugsy, the first thing he said to me is like, "All right, before you get started, like, you okay?" And like it was just the
Well,
funniest
because he
shit.
had heard it.
Yeah, because I sent it to him early so he could
Right,
break down
of
the
course,
shit.
Of course.
And dude, that shit
Are
was
you
so
okay?
funny. He was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "That's a fantastic question, Bugsy." Like, I don't know.
Way to start. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
you know, like, great way. It was a great way to start the interview. Like, all right, well, let's get into it. You know.
Yeah, you might as well.
But this project, I mean, it's noticeably less depressed, I think,
Yeah.
for sure. Because I've just been lucky enough to have like a great year and you know, get sober.
Yeah, you're in a better headspace.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where it's at. And so, are there any plans of a tour to follow? Any plans of anything else to follow?
Yeah, we've been like working nonstop. I mean, that was
Yeah.
pretty much why I went to Chicago in the first place. Every day we went to the office and we're just in
Gotcha.
there every day trying to plot out
Okay.
the next
Making the steps.
6 months of shit.
So once the album drops, we'll start hearing everything else. We'll
Yeah.
hear the tour dates.
It'll
We'll hear
come
all
out
that.
as-
It'll all come out.
At all.
Is there anything else that you need to cover? I think we're good.
No, I'm just super excited, man.
Yo.
Super excited. Thank you for having me.
Yes, awesome. It was great to talk to you, man. And we look forward to hearing the new record.
Hell yeah, man.
Awesome.